Okay, welcome back to Bounce Around Charleston. And my guest today is Attorney Arthur McFarland. And we have a very interesting uh, topic to talk about today. The first part, we're going to talk about the medical power of attorney. And then we're going to talk about the durable power of attorney. Welcome, Attorney McFarland, to Bounce Around Charleston.
Well, Reverend Miller, certainly good to be here with you today. So thank you for inviting me.
Okay, Attorney McFarland, being a pastor and counseling with some of my members, I have found out, and even dealing with family members, there is something very critical in our lives, especially in the African American community, that we need to deal with, and that's called medical power of attorney. Can you explain that to us, please?
Sure. A medical power of attorney is also known as a healthcare power of attorney. And what a healthcare or medical power of attorney does is allows a person to designate a family member or someone else that they trust to make medical decisions, particularly especially when they are unable to do so. So it is a document where the information that I will talk about is placed. That document is not recorded in the courthouse as with the durable power of attorney that we'll talk about, but it is something that all of us should have. And the basic requirement to execute a medical power of attorney is that you be at least 18 years old. And my advice to clients and individuals is that certainly once you are 18, you should have someone dedicated to make medical decisions for you, because we do not know when or where a situation of healthcare might develop that requires us to have someone to make decisions for us. So basically, that is what healthcare power of attorney is, and I can go through the specifics if you.
Yes, please do.
Okay. So the first thing with the healthcare power of attorney is that you need to designate someone that you trust to be your agent for making healthcare decisions. And I say someone you trust because this is usually someone you have a relationship with who understands what you might want to happen with your health if you could not make the decision. So the power of attorney allows you to dictate upfront, basically, how you want to be cared for and how you want to die. So let's talk about the impact of having the healthcare power of attorney. One of the first things is that, we all go to the doctor and
Yes.
sign this HIPAA authorization or a HIPAA form, which is a federal requirement that allows us to designate who might have access to our medical information. And so when we appoint an agent for us to handle our medical or healthcare decision making, then that person will have, under the document that you signed, the power of attorney, will have automatic right to see your medical records and to have doctors and nurses share with you information about your healthcare. The second thing is that the powers of that agent. Agent can make decisions with respect to any part of your healthcare. That is treatment, hospitalization, admission to the hospital, discharge from the hospital, approving your medication, again, approving any sort of treatment that it might be recommended for your particular condition. And so the powers are very broad. Any decision that you can make about your health care, your agent will be empowered to make that same decision.
Now,
And
may
then,
I ask you a question?
yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, that person should basically speak with you while you're in sound mind, understanding what you would want. Am I correct?
That is exactly right. That is very important that there be a conversation and more than one conversation, particularly as medical conditions are discovered, that agents speak to the patient, the principal, about what they would want to happen. Okay, what kind, whether the treatment that they receive or treatment that might be recommended. So you are absolutely, that's an excellent question.
So if I may state, do not be resuscitated, they will know that's my desire.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And with regard to that, the healthcare power of attorney allows you to make decisions on basically how you want to die.
Wow.
And there are decisions that you make, instructions that you give when you execute this power of attorney. And of course, you mentioned do not resuscitate. But if you are, one of the first questions is if it is recommended or advised that you be placed on a ventilator in order to keep you alive, and that without being placed on a ventilator or some other mechanical device, that you will die within a short period of time, then you have options on what you want to happen. And the first one, of course, is that you leave it up to your agent to decide if you should be kept on a life-saving device. So the agent would be empowered, and that's another reason why there ought to be this conversation, okay? Because some folk might say, well, I'm not sure I want to be kept on a ventilator if it's going to mean that I'm going to be laid up in the hospital or ICU for days, weeks, or months at a time. And then the second thing, choice that you have is to say no. If at my age or at my condition, I do not want to be kept. You can just say it right up front. I do not want to be kept on a ventilator, because initially you will probably be, and the question for your agent will be, should you be kept on a ventilator? And so that's the second decision that you have the option of. And the third one, of course, is that, no, look, I want maximum treatment. Do everything
Yes.
you can within reason, both financially as well as my chances of recovery. Without a healthcare power of attorney, without your having made these decisions up front, you get two or more family members, you've got children who cannot agree. I don't want to let mama go. Okay. No, we need to do everything we can. Or another position might be, look, mama's always said she does not want to be kept alive if she's going to be a vegetable. If she's not going to be able to function, even if there is a recovery. She's already said it. Let's let her go. So that whole dispute, and usually arises at the hospital.
Yes.
Okay. You're normally at the bedside of the patient. All of that is eliminated by having a healthcare power of attorney. In fact, it is a way of bringing peace to the family. Okay, so having a healthcare power of attorney really ought to be an essential part of what all of us call our estate planning. And again, it doesn't matter how old you are, because young people can easily be involved in just a car accident that renders them unable to make healthcare decisions. You don't have to be 75, 80, 90 years old, and you should not wait until that time to have a healthcare power of attorney. And the final thing I'll say before I see if you have any more questions is that the healthcare power of attorney is durable, so that if you become incompetent or unable to make these decisions because of your physical or mental incapacity, then the power still survives and the agent is authorized, particularly in those instances, to make those decisions.
Okay, so I heard you say earlier that this document does not have to be filed in the courts. So who gets the document? The primary care physician?
No, the document ought to be kept by the principal or the person making the power of attorney, and a copy given to the agent or other family members. Copies are fine, okay? So that, and normally your doctor will ask you if you have a healthcare power of attorney when you go in for your if there's surgery plan, hospitals will definitely ask you for that. You present a copy at that time. And one of the reasons for not presenting a copy to the medical provider at an early point is that you have the right to change your mind about any of this stuff until it's needed. So you could be in the hospital and say, oh, no. I know I said, don't keep me on the ventilator. No, I changed my mind. I certainly want to be kept around as long as it is feasible. So yes, you make sure that you have a copy that's readily accessible to your family, but definitely give your agent or agents. Now you can have both a primary agent and a successor agent. So if your primary agent is not available or can no longer perform the services for you, then your successor automatically is stepped in. And what you do is, on the healthcare power of attorney, you provide all the contact information that a medical provider would need in order to find out how you should be treated for your medical condition.